I'm ready to
I'm
start
ready.
whenever everyone else is ready. So yeah, Bethany, are you ready?
I am ready.
How's your singing muscles going? Are you ready to do it?
I don't know the words.
You just did it.
I don't know what you're talking about.
All right. I can't believe you're going to make me do this.
Yeah, you got to do it.
All right. And today I start this podcast with the Lightning Bug theme song. Take my love, take my land, take me where I cannot stand. I don't care. I'm still free. You can't take the sky from me. I'm going to stop there if that's okay.
That was pretty close.
Take me out to the black. Tell them I ain't coming back. Burn the land and boil the sea. You can't take the sky from me.
Can I take this bit from you and start
Yeah.
the podcast?
Yeah.
All right, let's get started. Welcome, everyone, to the Comixology Club. It's a podcast where I, Snoop Lynch, and my co-host, Higgins Sturm.
Hey, that's me.
He is right there doing the thing he did earlier with the song and the music and the microphone. And we're also going to talk about a book. We're going to talk about a drink. And we're going to talk about friends. We have a friend here with us right now. Her name is Bethany.
Oh,
Yeah.
That's me. That's my cue.
Yes.
Hi, guys.
It's good. I'm glad we practiced that
Oh, great.
for an hour because you really nailed it.
I was so worried. I'm literally sweating bullets here.
That's okay. It's okay. No one's going to see it, luckily. That's why we do
Not yet.
a podcast. Well, yeah, not yet. But
I'll
when
take
we
a picture.
just really use that macro lens, really get that sweat in there, you know?
Yeah, just the pit.
I mean, I'm wearing a white shirt too, so
Even better.
Yellow stains.
Well, Bethany, we're glad that you decided to join us for this month and talk about a book with us. Can you tell us what the book is that we're talking about?
yeah. So we are talking about Firefly, the Unification War, Part 1, and this is by a guy called Joss Whedon.
Oh, well, he created the idea of the show.
Well, yeah, but
Our
he also writes it, doesn't he?
No, I think our boy Greg Pak might have made the actual comic, right?
Do you guys want me to tell you a little bit about
Yeah, I
this
would
book?
love for you to.
Yeah,
I mean,
that
you
sounds great.
Well, you guys did both. You both did a great start. I'm just going to kind of play off that. So, to Bethany's point, Joss Whedon is the creator of Firefly. He also apparently contributed to the story of this comic we're going to read today. But that's kind of his whole big contribution to this. You know,
It's kind of like the executive producer.
yeah, in a way, which is a job that is probably very important, but also depends on the person and the project.
Yeah, he gave the money.
Yeah. And he probably didn't do much else because Joss Whedon, for a lot of people, isn't in good graces these days.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, that's
Bethany
very
told me
true.
he was a dirtbag.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But instead, writing this one, we have Greg Pak. I don't think we've read anything that he's done before on the podcast, Higgins, but
I recognize the name.
Yeah, so his biggest things he's done that I saw was he's the one credited for the Planet Hulk and World War Hulk
Okay.
storylines. People would probably know Planet Hulk a little bit at least because that's kind of what they did in Thor Ragnarok, that movie
okay.
that people saw.
That makes sense. Where they fight a bunch of people.
They fought so many people, Higgins. They had helmets and armor and,
Yeah.
so many things, yeah. And then on art, we have illustrations by a guy named Dan McDade.
Yeah, that sounds right.
Yeah, I don't know a ton about this guy. He apparently got his start working on Doctor Who magazine, which
That
is
makes that
something?
that tracks.
Yeah.
Space stuff.
space and time, and people,
Yeah.
and phone booths. I'm sure there's a phone booth in this at some point.
Comics made from TV things.
And paper. They
Yeah.
make comics with paper, or at least most versions. The one you read, not the one I read. I read it on an iPad. No paper there, unfortunately. And then finally, we have colors by Marcello Costa, who Higgins, big fan of, over at the Radiant Black series. He has
Oh,
colors
yeah?
for that. Yeah.
Man, I didn't even know.
Well, I recognize the name. I'm like, why do I know this? And I'm like, oh, he's one of the parts I liked about Radiant Black because the colors in that were very
They really
simple and
pop.
streamlined, but
I
they
can see
pop
that.
exactly. Kind of a different approach on this one, which I'll probably talk about. But so yeah, those are the three kind of heavy hitters on this book. And Higgins, can you remind Bethany and myself who published this?
Oh, it's a Boom
Whoa.
Studios.
Oh my goodness, that gets me every single time.
I'm glad I took the headphones off this time. It really helped that I queued Higgins up for that because last time he got me good. So yes, Boom did this one in January of 2021.
Oh, so pretty recent. Then.
Pretty recent. Now the reason that is there have been Firefly books before, plenty of them in fact, but those were all done prior to this by a different publisher called Dark Horse Comics.
Oh, that doesn't exist anymore?
They exist. I think you're thinking of Vertigo's gone.
Yeah, that's
an
what I'm thinking
imprint.
of.
But Dark Horse is around. They've been around. Their biggest thing is this kind of stuff. They'll do
TV stuff.
They'll take properties, movies, TV stuff, and they'll make comics. I think they're the ones who worked on the Batman versus Predator comic we did all those many moons ago.
Oh, okay.
So that's kind of them. And now they've got. Oh, hey, Andy's here. Hey, Andy. Andy,
Hey,
you're on
Andy.
the podcast.
Now you just don't have to listen.
But you do have to say a word. No, he's not saying any words.
What a
And
shame.
if you think about it, he'll actually remember this part because he's not going to fall asleep before he hears it.
This is so early in the episode.
Wow.
All right. Yeah, he's saving his voice for when he guest stars on the podcast. Bye, Andy. Where was I? Oh, yes. So now Boom this was the first comic that Firefly comic, that Boom did when they took over the property. Greg Pak was kind of the lead on that, and he decided to pick this particular storyline. He's got a few kind of in his head going at one time, but he picked this one mainly because of the content that drives the story in this comic, and that's the war from Higgins. You've seen, I think, an episode of Firefly.
I've seen like 4 or 5.
Mhm.
That was your assignment.
I watched like 4 or 5.
Yeah.
It's more than I thought you would watch, so good job. So you've seen enough. Bethany's seen all of it.
I have seen all of it.
Yeah.
Plus the movie.
Same here. And one thing about that show and that movie, they do be talking about that war quite a lot, don't they?
They even start with it in the first episode.
A little
Yep.
snippet, you're right, yeah. But we don't really get much more kind of showing that or
Yeah.
kind of the fallout of that. Like we hear about it, but we don't see it. So that was kind of the idea of this story is let's look at what this war did and kind of what it's doing even to this day. I think, Bethany said this to us in private. That's just for you and me, Higgins, but I'll share it with the people. She mentioned that she thought it would be a prequel. I thought as well. And this wasn't exactly what I was necessarily hoping I'd get, but I wasn't upset about it either.
Yeah, that was very similar to me because I really was intrigued by the idea of like Mal and Zoe going and meeting Wash and Kaylee and Jane. And then, I mean, like in the series for the first episode, you do get to see how they met the Doctor and River, but you don't get to see, how they meet Wash and Kaylee. And I was interested in that, but I mean, it's still really great though.
Yeah, I was super pumped that I actually saw some of the episodes because otherwise I would have just assumed it was a prequel. And now I saw like the characters like Simon and River and Shepherd Book, and I was like, oh, this happened after the first episode at least.
Yeah. So I did some digging into the series and everything. And so the Firefly comics take place between the end of Firefly, the TV series, and Serenity, the movie.
Yeah, and I'm glad that you told me that because it's more or less what I was picking up on as I was reading it. Because at first I thought, oh, this might be post-movie, and then pretty soon after, because of certain characters still being around, I'm like, no, that's not the case, but is this before the series? So it does kind of line up very well, and this could potentially just work as a random episode that you would see in between the ones that we saw.
It very much feels like just an episode. Based off of the 4 that I've watched, like it kind of just it doesn't even feel like a full one really, because I mean we're only in the first volume. Honestly, I feel like we read like half of an episode just now.
Yeah. And that's mostly just because those episodes are so long.
Well, they're only 45 minutes after the first one.
Oh, okay.
So
it's been so long since I've
I'm
seen it.
assuming like the first episode that's like an hour and a half long just was like really just one of those like 2-parters that a lot of TV shows usually do.
Yeah, I mean they've got to get people wrapped in very quickly so they get another season, which they didn't do. But it
like a lot of shows back in that like time period.
Yeah, this has always been the one that everyone always screams at people about. Give us another season of this. It's never going to happen at this point. I don't know why it would.
Yeah, Nathan Fillion's so old.
He's old,
and it's like,
hey, he still looks good. Okay,
he's looking good. Have you seen him in all 10 seasons of The Rookie?
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
I mean,
you're right. And I guess like
and Big Mouth.
what's it?
It's a big mouth, yeah.
Like the it's like the kind of the cheesy like Western show that came out a lot back in like the 90s, early 2000s, like Walker, Texas Ranger, and like
Mhm.
stuff like that, where it's like there's like kind of a continuing story, but like
It's kind of your adventure of the week.
you could literally
Yeah.
you could watch one episode and be fine.
I think so. And this particular volume works very much in that way. It does, like you said, it feels more like half an episode because of the way it leaves off at the end. But just the delivery and the setup and the characters they run into, a lot of it does seem inconsequential to a bigger storyline, which if you've seen the movie, that kind of wraps up a lot of those plot points anyway. But I didn't mind that with this. I once I found out like, oh, we're not gonna get just the war from the very beginning. While it was kind of a bummer, it falls so well back into that formula that the episodes have of, like you're saying, it's very relaxed in a lot of ways, but the characters you really enjoy and they drive kind of the more emotional moments.
Mm-hmm. I was actually surprised because in the episodes and everything, Kaylee doesn't really say that much, if you remember. But she says actually a lot in the comic, and I was really excited for that because it kind of developed her character a little bit more for me.
Yeah, I've always enjoyed the character of Kaylee,
Yeah,
just kind of the
yeah.
quirkiness of her, just that kind of innocent, like she's innocent and kind of naive, but when it comes down to it, she's the best mechanic to have in the entire galaxy. There's a lot of that in this. There are a lot of characters and all the crew's back, everyone you can think of from that show, they're all here. She, like a few others, have way more to do. I think not all of them get great voices from Greg Pak. I think he nails a lot of them because that's why for me it felt like just watching another episode because the dialogue reflects what I remember from that first time I watched it. The main ones I think of that probably didn't get that as well, and maybe that changes as it goes, is the siblings.
Oh yeah, Simon and River are pretty like
they're just whatever.
Really bland characters in this.
Yeah. Kind of
just an
more like an
extra-
afterthought.
They don't have like anything that could be considered character development or anything like that. Like the other characters don't really either, but you see where they're coming from, and you can tell like what their voice is at least in the story.
And that might just have to do with because in the show and the movie, it revolves around them pretty heavily. Like, that's what kicks off the whole series, and the movie's the main plot point of it is what's going on with River, and then of course her brother's there being a doctor and also worrying about her. So maybe with that in mind, they were like, okay, we've had a lot with those guys, but let's focus on some of these other ones.
Let's talk about Jane, right? Let's give him
love
the
that guy.
start. Let's give him the start.
I love that guy. What are you
forgot.
talking about?
He's the only character in this entire thing I completely forgot existed, and pretty quickly I remembered why.
Is he Mark Wahlberg's brother? His name's Adam Wahlberg.
He might be, yeah. He seems like he'd be a Wahlberg, wouldn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's also from Chuck.
I mean, full credit to Greg Pak, because it instantly reminded me why I didn't like his character in the first place. And I think I just don't like his character because there's not that much to him. Like, he's an idiot and a bruiser.
He's just the beat 'em up guy that can shoot the gun pretty good.
And the thing is with those characters, it's like, well, maybe he's got a heart of gold, and when push comes to shove, he's gonna do the right thing. He never really, even when given those opportunities, he's never done it, and they just keep him around. I think it's what makes me so frustrated with. It's not him. It's why do they have him? Because I get that he's a good soldier and he does what he's told for the most part, but surely you can find someone 10 times better.
I mean, he causes a lot of mess. I mean, specifically the start of this one, the reason their ship breaks down on this moon planet in the first place is because he gambled away the credits they needed to buy the actual part to fix the ship.
Yes.
And so they had to buy like a knockoff part that broke and caught on fire.
And that is the trend with every interaction he has with anybody in this series as a whole, is just all he does is cause problems, and he doesn't seem to really want to atone for it or feel like he did anything wrong.
He just wants to make money.
We all want to make money, but
just want some of that sweet platinum.
Yeah, I mean, I could take him or leave him at the end of the day, but I just don't understand why they would want to.
I mean, he is kind of like the muscle.
Yeah.
And I remember in the TV series, the Alliance came in and they were tearing up his room and stuff, and they pulled back this one curtain and it was all like guns and stuff, like different types of guns and everything.
Yeah.
I mean, he's got to be like obsessed with guns and stuff and violence and everything.
Yeah, and I think that's maybe why. That's the only reason I can see why they would even kind of, because he's such a loose unit. But maybe they think, well, if we get rid of him, he'll probably just come hunting for us, and so maybe it's just better to keep him on a short leash.
Well, that's one of the things I remember from one of the episodes is like, and it doesn't come up in here really, but you can tell he's basically just on the side of himself, where he's like, I don't know, they mentioned something where he was like, well, if someone gives me a better offer, I'm going to turn you guys in or something like that. Right now, you guys are just the best thing I can hold on to. And maybe that changes along the way, and I have no idea. But like, as far as I can tell, he's like he's as self-serving as self-serving comes.
Yes.
I mean, any chance he gets to remind Mal that River and Simon are fugitives, and that if they turn him in, they can get
a lot of money.
Yeah, all of the money. Like, he does not like let go of a chance to possibly just remind him of that.
Yeah.
And honestly, I think that's kind of why Mal keeps Simon and River around a little bit, is because they're fugitives and he doesn't like the Alliance.
No, he absolutely hates the Alliance. And I think that's kind of the biggest new thing that this comic brings to the world of Firefly. You know, we don't get as much of the war as we thought we were going to get. I do think that what we see and kind of what these characters say to other characters from the war back then, it adds up a lot. Like, it fleshes out his character and then the character of Zoe and even a little bit of Wash way more, which is great because those are probably my top 3 favorites from the crew. Like, I've always enjoyed, and they do a lot of good stuff with this in this comic. I've always enjoyed the dynamic that the 3 of them have. Wash, I absolutely love. Like, Alan.
Yeah, how can you not like Alan Tudyk?
He's the best. Yeah.
and we're saying all these actors' names, and like people are being like, we normally don't talk about TV as much as we normally do when we're talking about the comic book, but like talking about the art specifically, old Dan McDade, he basically does like a spot on like copy of all of the actors.
What I do like about it, and I guess also kind of don't like about it, is I think the art's good in a sense where these look exactly like the actors that I'm thinking of. Like, I don't question it really at any point, but it's not tracing. Because there are some comic artists who, you know, turns out over the years have just traced any and everything. And Star Wars is really bad about it whenever they do, like, here's Luke, Han, and Leia. It's just like, well, you just traced a still frame of Harrison Ford. This doesn't feel like that. It just feels like he had references and he
made his own
cartoon
thing version. Yeah,
you can really see that in the expressions that, you know, they give and everything, that he did kind of take their face and just imagine what their face would look like when giving that expression.
Yeah, like he's able to kind of look at the mannerisms that Nathan Fillion had or Alan Tudyk had and just do them with his style. And kind of a negative, I think, for me, and it's not a big one, but it is there, because he is doing that, he doesn't really get a chance to bring any kind of unique style to his art. Like, it's so wrapped up in, let's make sure people know that this is this character and this is this character, that it can at times come across as a little generic. I think where he really gets to kind of stretch his art muscles is the establishing stuff. So like when you see the ship, the Serenity, it still looks like the Serenity, but just the way that it's almost like sketched real quickly.
Yeah, real glowing.
And it helps show certain elements of that ship. Like, this ship is a piece of junk. We all know it has been, but they just keep it around because, you know, it's part of the family or whatever. And
at the end of the day, it's still like the fastest baby in the West.
The fastest tin can in the wild, wild space West. You got it, Higgins. Yeah.
All thanks to Kaylee.
Speaking of the
Serenity,
the fastest thing in the West. Yeah, that's what I was getting at. That was my
Serenity.
She jumped on my segue a little faster than I was trying to get there, but
sorry, that's my ADHD.
We can talk about the drink now since we're already about like halfway through it.
It's already about halfway through me, if you know what I mean, Higgins.
I'm
tipsy.
No, okay. Oh, I got it. I was just chugging along,
I just don't know if my jokes are any good. I need that, that confirmation.
Well, I keep waiting for the laughing track to happen behind us, but we haven't got it in there
the
yet.
laugh track button's been broken for months. I've been trying to get that guy in to fix it, but what are you gonna do? Tell me about this drink I'm drinking though.
Bethany picked it out. She found it, and she was like, "I don't know if we're gonna see the Serenity or not." Before we knew what this book was about, and I was like, "Either way, the Firefly fans will know what we're talking about." So this is called Serenity, where the T is spelled like tea, the thing that you drink, and it's pretty much like a Long Island iced tea knockoff, but they added their own little twist, I think, and basically that twist is the Firefly, wink, sweet tea vodka that we put in it, which I think normally Long Island iced teas just has regular vodka.
Well, little fun fact for me, and I'm sure a lot of other people knew this already, but your roommate Reese told me earlier that a regular Long Island iced tea doesn't have sweet tea in it, but ours does.
Oh,
It's a little extra something in there.
Oh, okay.
They both have the Coke in it, though.
Yeah, the Coke and the sour mix. So this one you get a 1 ounce of the sweet tea vodka, 3/4 of an ounce for the spiced rum, silver tequila, and gin. You get an ounce of sour mix, and then you splash some sweet tea and cola to your liking on top of that. And if you have a lemon, you can add a lemon.
Did we have a lemon?
We had a lemon, but apparently it's at the liquor store. They didn't put it in my bag, and I assume they put it in my bag, and so the lemon I bought's at the liquor store.
Just swindled you again, huh?
I know, just one lemon. At least it was only one lemon and not like a whole bottle of something.
It's not someone you can call to deliver that. They're right up the road, I mean.
Yeah.
And it's not like you should have to go get it because you didn't leave it behind.
Yeah, I thought that, like you put everything else in the bag, why would the lemon stay on the table?
Mhm.
But yeah, if anybody needs any Firefly sweet tea vodka, I have a whole handle of it because that's the smallest size they had, and I'm probably never going to drink it, so just come on by.
I don't know, Higgins. Summertime is right around the corner.
You're right. We can mix that with some lemonade, and it'd probably be pretty sweet.
Mean, just make you more of these Long Island Serenities. You're off to the races.
Trying to make it through the day a little bit,
Not in the summertime, though, Higgins.
I don't know if you heard all of the liquor that was in it, but it was it was at least 2 or 3 shots worth.
I've only gotten to shot number 1, so I guess I'll have to keep drinking to get the rest. It's really good, though, I think.
Oh, it's delightful. It tastes very smooth. I think the next time I make it, I'll make it with a little less of the sour mix because that's really poking through for me right now.
But don't you want a little bit more sour to help balance out that sweet?
Well, yeah. I think it would be. I think it's pretty good, but that's what I was saying. Like, I'm not going to dial it back too much, but like maybe like when I make it for 3 people, I'll do 2.5 ounces of the sour mix instead of 3 ounces.
I feel like the sour mix that you put in there, how much you did, kind of tastes like that lemon.
Yeah,
kind of brings back that lemon taste that you
sour
forgot.
mix is just lemon juice and like simple syrup. So the lemon would literally have just been like you put a slice of lemon in your sweet tea when you get it.
Yeah. Huh. Bethany, what do you think about this one?
I really like it. I like the story. I like the new characters that they bring in. Like
I was asking her about the tea.
I knew what you were asking about. I was just gonna let her roll with it.
Oh, you want that
talking,
tea?
Maybe she's still talking about the tea and the story and the characters it has inside of it.
Oh yeah, the sour. I like the sour.
Sour's gone on quite a journey.
Yeah.
You like the sweet?
Yeah, I like the sweet and the sour.
What about the tea?
The tea's pretty good.
Yeah.
It's sweet.
Right. Can you taste the Coke?
Not really, actually.
And can you taste any of the alcohol? Because I can't at all.
That's a bad sign for you later.
No.
Yeah.
Absolutely not.
It is very smooth. Yes, just like this book. Now I've segued you back in.
Oh yeah, the book is smooth too.
Oh, so
It was a very quick read.
Yes, it is very quick. I read it once and only today. Been a busy worker this week, so only had time to read it once.
Plus, you didn't want to forget it,
No, of course not. I'd never.
I think it was only 4 issues. I don't know if I was counting right, but either the issues were really short or there was only 4 of them in this volume.
This one was 1 through 4. Then I think part 2 is like 4 through 8 or something like that.
Okay, so it's one less issue than we normally read a lot of the time.
It's mostly just because I was having fun with it, but I was kind of bummed when it just ended the way it did.
I was very mad. I was upset.
Higgins and I talk about, kind of what makes a good first volume since we read so many new ones. And the biggest thing for both of us is while I want to keep reading more if it's really good, I also want to feel like I've got a satisfying kind of
A full
conclusion
story.
to this. And maybe it's just because they're counting on people who only, care about Firefly to even look into it. So they're like, they'll come back for more. And I probably will go back in and read the second volume of this because I did enjoy it. But yeah, it just, to have it end the way it does, I don't know. It didn't really, I didn't hate it, but I was like, you probably could have just given us at least one more issue to wrap up this part of the story.
That's what I felt like too. When I got to the end of that issue, I was like, oh, that's the end of that issue. We got a cliffhanger. I'm going to get to finish it up in the next volume. Because in the book, when I was holding it in my hand, there was an issue's worth of pages like behind it.
Yeah.
And it was all just like,
Yeah.
it was all just like filler stuff.
It's
like
all alternate
cover arts
covers.
and like afterwards and stuff like that.
There's some really cool ones in there too.
Yeah.
But
I was reading on my phone and I was just swiping. I was like, where is it?
yeah, like on my iPad, you can kind of like zoom out and look at how many pages you have left.
Yeah.
And there's at least like 40 something pages of just random filler stuff. Like just a very odd point to stop. But again, I guess it's just because they know they've got plenty of people reading it for the, they're not going to go away unless it's just absolutely terrible, which it isn't. So I guess they felt like, we'll just end it here and then get them again to spend another $8-9 or whatever.
Yeah, they suckered me, and I'll at least finish this issue, this like episode.
Yeah, exactly.
Now that we've talked about the beginning and the end, do you want to talk about the middle?
All the stuff in the middle where all the things happen.
Where all the things
Yeah.
happen. I kind of want to jump straight into all of the red scenes because that's the part of the story where like we were actually a little bit right.
That's what we signed up for. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, the red parts you're talking about the flashbacks to the Unification War,
Which specifically, I think a lot of the red parts were like the first like 5 minutes of the first episode of Firefly.
yes.
It's like where they're like fighting and about to lose, and then like he shoots something big, and it's like, oh, that looks like it did something pretty good, but apparently it did something pretty bad.
Yes, and I guess now we finally know kind of what that was, or at least I don't. That's one thing that's a little confusing to me is if that scene you're talking about in that first episode and what we see in the flashbacks of this, like how much of it is the same moment?
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
it's a war. It went for a pretty long time, longer than it should have, like most wars. But the big moment from this and kind of the past that haunts the characters of Mal and Zoe is we knew they were what do they call them, the Independents, or the
Yeah, the
side that were
Independents.
kind of against the unification of all the galaxies under the Alliance and whatever. We knew they were on that side, and people don't like them, like they don't like that group, but we never really found out kind of why.
I don't know why
This
they
is
all
a
wore
good
brown
reason why
coats,
they
but-
don't like them. It's so it turned out that Zoe and Mal were branded as war criminals after all that stuff, and it
'Cause they did
seems like
murder.
yes, and it seems like the particular moment that kind of got them on that list was they attacked a hospital and murdered about 150 people when it blew up.
Yeah, they were getting attacked by like a huge ship, and that huge ship happened to be like by like part of the hospital or something like that. And they were getting shot at pretty hard, so like he just shot back.
Oh, see,
And it happened to blow up like the ship right by the hospital, I think, is
Well-
what I thought it was.
Maybe I took it as, and I'll ask Bethany after kind of what she thinks, but I took it more as they got attacked by this ship and they lost some of their soldiers and they wanted revenge, so they were going to blow up a building that they, I guess, thought was kind of the enemy outpost.
That's possible too. And they didn't know it was a hospital at the time.
It turned out it was a hospital for the wounded, and so a bunch of wounded veterans and nurse staff died, and now one of those people that survived is back for revenge.
And she has one eye.
She's got one eye.
You
Not
get
even
to
her
see-
good
you
eye.
get to see her in the past, and
Yeah.
she has like the bloody eye, and
Mhm.
you're like, now I know why she has an eye patch.
Mhm.
Boss Moon. She has a really cool name.
That is a good name, yeah.
I was so confused for like the first like 5 times they like said her name. I was like, who's this? Where is this Boss Moon that they're talking about?
Can the moon boss
This-
an entire people?
This sweet moon that they're
Yeah.
talking about. So goddamn boss.
Oh, God. I don't know. That's what, Bethany, what did you think of the kind of the flashback stuff and what it adds to? Because I mean, that adds a lot, I imagine, for you having been a big fan of the show.
Yeah, I mean, like, it just kind of gave me what I kind of wanted out of this. It was just kind of like, what actually went on. Actually going into this, I really wanted like a war story. And I think honestly, like the whole Firefly series is kind of a war story. Like in the bigger picture, every single thing that they do, it's kind of against the Alliance.
Yes.
And so like this kind of gave it a little bit more substance and reasoning for Mal and Zoe to do what they're doing. But I really loved the art of the Red.
Yeah.
And like the flashbacks and everything, because I also really like the sounds.
Skaboom.
Skaboom. Because like I mean, what better way to explain an explosion than skaboom?
You're absolutely right.
Read like so many more comics.
Yeah,
that's just like
that's mostly. What
okay,
it is.
yeah. I do have to admit, this is only like the second comic that I've read. I read Friday after your guys' podcast, came out, and I read it after. And then I also had some differing opinions on Friday, as you guys did, but that kind of introduced me to it. And then this is the second one that I've read, so I'm not very like into the comics.
It's okay. That's why we're
Yet.
here. Yeah.
Nobody is. We just talk about them.
No, I mean, but you described a very like one of the fun parts that you can only get from a comic, and it's not every comic does it well. Like it is one of those things that you don't really notice it unless it's either really good or really bad. We talked about when we had Steve on the podcast a couple episodes ago.
The ones with your shirt off?
With our shirts off, yes.
Yeah.
And we have bears in the room, yeah.
Yeah.
And in that comic, they had a really kind of fun way to just play with that tool. Someone goes to catch a punch and it interrupts the sound halfway. I really enjoy that. And the art and mixed with that in these flashback scenes, it's kind of the high point for the art in a lot of ways for me.
That's where he really got to like do his own thing.
Yeah, and you see, and I like kind of the reasoning for probably why they did that is, okay, this is a different Mal, this is a different time, let's show kind of what that would look like in a stylized way. He almost kind of, like at one point, he's on like a hill and he's got like a big machine gun or something, and he's got a bandana wrapped around his head. It really reminded me of Rambo, just like in the middle of the trenches, just killing a bunch of people. It was a horrible thing, in the context of the story, but visually really kind of fun to look through and read.
Yeah, I mean, like, Mal is just, like, stepping on people, killing people. Like, I had never really seen that very violent side of him in any of the episodes or anything else. Honestly, in not the flashbacks, but, like, the present comic.
Yeah.
Like, time.
He doesn't really have to shoot people very often.
Yeah, he's not as violent. And I mean, honestly, it kind of looks like he enjoyed it a little bit.
And I think there is a part of him that did, especially kind of on the back end where he's getting revenge because he names a few people in those flashbacks that get shot down or exploded. So it's clearly people important to him, and he's on this revenge mission. And then when you take kind of what happened with the hospital, now that we know that, it makes a lot of sense to cut to the present day where all of these guys are kind of goofy and make jokes about situations that you wouldn't really think anyone would want to joke about, but it's like a coping mechanism for these guys.
And then like 9 times out of 10, like what they're doing right now is like infinitely smaller than what they did in the war times. So
good point. Yeah, it's a walk in the park for them, and that makes it fun just to kind of see the banter and the chemistry between, like, at no point when everything that happens in this first volume happens do they seem at all concerned. Except maybe the very last, bit where Mal gets kidnapped and the comic ends. But like, there's a really just kind of funny running storyline with, they land on this moon and they're looking
called
for
Bethlehem.
It's called Bethany, right? Yeah.
Hey, I'm Bethany.
I don't get it.
Bethlehem.
Oh, okay. Now I get it. That's good. But yeah, they land on this moon and they need money to afford that new part that Higgins was talking about. And so they're like, well, we've got these group of holy people that are going on a pilgrimage, and they want to hire us because I guess it's the one good thing that Jane does is he gets in a bar fight for no reason. And they're like, oh, you're very violent. This is exactly what we need. So they hire them to get them across the country or whatever. And it turns out that another reason they wanted them was part of their pilgrimage is to sacrifice very bad people.
Yeah, and that was the part that got me is like they were like, oh, they're pretty bad people. You didn't know that that's why they hired them. You're like, oh, they just thought they could like hold their own and protect them at first, and then like that like transmission comes down and says that these two are war criminals, and they're like,
They're so excited. Yeah,
and we got war criminals now too.
and it makes so much sense when you get to that reveal that it's like, oh, they want to kill the worst people, and it's like, what's worse than a war criminal? And what I enjoy, and Firefly does it all the time, and it was fun to see even in this comic, was the people that they end up meeting a lot of times are idiots. It seems like it's just everyone's got a very simplistic goal in mind, and they just talk out loud whatever they're thinking, because they get into this ridiculous like hours-long argument about who to kill first based on the level of like the worst person they are. Yeah, and they think like, oh well, Jane's like a homicidal maniac, we'll kill him last. And then the shepherd and what's Marina Baccarin's character's name? Inara, thank you.
And she's a companion.
Yes,
man, is she pretty?
In air quotes.
Very pretty. Shepherd's pretty easy on the eyes as well.
Yeah, Mr. Book.
But we all knew that. But I like kind of how they're able to take these people who they're going to kill them. Like, that's all they want to do. And anyone else in that situation would be freaking out. But they're just like, yeah, like we've seen probably worse. Like you said, it's like we've seen worse than this. And they're really stupid. So if we just kind of get them to argue while we buy time, we'll be fine. I really enjoy that. I forgot how much I loved that element of Firefly. It's like, it's got that space western vibe and
almost a little bit of comedy into it.
And it needs it, I think. I like, as much as I would have liked to just see a prequel story about like the horrors of the Unification War and kind of how it made these characters what they are. People didn't fall in love with the series for that reason. They fell in love with the series because they love these characters and how they and they love how they interact with each other, and they love how they get out of the crazy situations they kind of stumble into. And it reminds you like, oh, they're also kind of dumb, but they're at least not as dumb as these people are.
Yeah.
So I thought it was a lot of fun to kind of have that thrown in there.
And then the guys that they're protecting them from too, before they know that they're probably just as bad as the people they're trying to protect them from, the Benitez chain gang, or the Buzz Woodfort gang, or the other, I don't remember what their names were, but they were just like wild space names. Like I think it was like Bug something, and then it was like
so outrageous.
One other person. They just keep killing each other off. I just love that Chang Benitez came back and helped them
save the day, right? Yeah. I love that running joke of just like, well, we got rid of the previous leader that the gang was named after, so let's just name it after the guy that took over like 5 minutes ago. And
formerly known as.
Yeah, they list each one it was formerly known as. It's Greg Pak's a good person to put on a book like this because he clearly understands why the people are reading it. Like he knows what we want to see. And I like that he was able to throw in the new stuff too, because you don't get a lot of the flashbacks, but when you do see them, they're very well used. Like, to find out the thing about the hospital, I think what really kind of makes it hit home for me and puts me on both the side of the Firefly crew, but also the ones that are hunting them is, yeah, they did a horrible thing when they attacked that hospital. He says he didn't mean to, and I'm inclined to believe him, but it doesn't change the fact that a lot of innocent people were just ruined. And you see that Boss Moon was one of those. She's probably one of the nurse staff even.
It helps put you on the side of everybody more than anything.
And that's always, I think, kind of been, I mean, that's a point of a lot of Westerns, I feel, is like, no one's,
100% good or on the right,
bad,
or on the right side or whatever.
That's the point that Shepherd Book makes. He's like, it's like, yeah, these people are like bad, and like everybody is bad in a war, no matter which side you're on. And it's like he's talking to like those like holy men. It's like you just haven't hit your war yet.
Yeah, exactly. And when you hit it, it doesn't just go away. It sticks with you, and you see that with all of these characters. Kind of even the ones that weren't even in a literal war, they all carry their own baggage, and they've all been through their own shit. And it's just it's really good character stuff. I don't really have any complaints about any side of that. I don't think that the action that's kind of where it falls down compared to the other Firefly stuff I've seen. And it's just kind of what are you going to do? Like, you can't really do the sci-fi level, like Western shootout action on the same kind of scale that you did in the show and the movie. Like, it's just, you need a really kind of good setup and a good artist to even get close. And in this, it's just a bunch of, just a bunch of shootouts. You don't really know who's shooting who, and then you wait till it's all over so you can read more dialogue. At least that's how I felt.
Yeah, it was just like kind of like a lot of action, and then you kind of get actually what happened after it already happened.
It's a lot of times it's people going like, oh, I can't believe this guy died, and I'm like,
who?
When? Did he die just now?
It was kind of a little erratic and all over the place. There'd be a lot of people shooting, and it's like, well, I guess I'll just wait till the scene where they're done, and then they'll tell me who like got hurt.
Anyone important, yeah.
Except for the time where Zoe shot Wash, and then Wash shot Zoe.
That's another thing I was going to bring up is their relationship, because I absolutely love it.
I do too, yes.
Like, we're even, and we got to both know like what's going on with your head and my head, and then we're just going to talk about it.
Yes.
I absolutely love it. And then it's like, oh, you're not going anywhere. Bam, shoot you in the leg. But I love you. And then he just was like, well, we're going to play that game. Bang, shoot you in the leg. I love you too. And that was just like the highlight for me, was just kind of like, oh yeah, I do love that relationship.
Yeah, and I love the way that you described it. It is an equal, healthy dynamic that they have, and they've always had. When it comes to the stuff about the war, Zoe has always been kind of reserved,
yeah.
and she doesn't want to open up to really anyone else but Mal, because they both went through it. And what I've always enjoyed about that trio in particular is, in worse kind of hands, it probably would cause a rift between Wash and Zoe, because he's like, oh, you don't confide to me, you confide to Mal instead. But he's like, no, I get it. Like, I didn't go through what you did. But he wants to make sure that she knows, I'm here for you even when you don't think I can handle this.
Yeah.
And he also knows kind of when to back off and let her be her own person. It's a very good relationship that they have, and I've always loved it, and I'm glad that they were able to kind of bring it back in this comic. Another relationship that I've always really enjoyed, and they do a little bit with it here, and I hope they do more in later issues, is I've always found the Inara and the Mal stuff very interesting.
Yeah, it kind of, because I haven't seen all of the show, it kind of bummed me out when like they were like, you still haven't told her how you feel yet, and I was like, oh, I guess I'm not going to get that in the show.
Well, it's complicated, and
yeah,
I think it has to do with their personalities are just so similar, and like just to have a moment in this comic where like the setup is like, hey, you didn't tell her how you really feel yet, and then he goes to do it and he just can't, and
they're like, good talk.
Yeah, it's just it perfectly sums up their relationship, and it's frustrating to see it and just be like, God, just get together already. But it's also it's a interesting thing to read, because they clearly are both so headstrong, and they both care about each other a lot, and they're just waiting for the other one to cave first. And I don't know, I've always really enjoyed their back and forth and everything, and this wasn't, like I said, there's not a lot of it here, but I do enjoy what they do with it.
Yeah, no, I mean, I like the back and forth between them. I'm just a sucker for when the guy gets the girl, So I love a rom-com every now and again.
Higgins is 2023, all right?
Really
now
reminds
the girl
me,
gets the guy.
Really reminds me of Ryan Reynolds and Isla Fisher and Definitely Maybe. They're just so back and forth.
Yes.
You're like, who's going to get who?
Are either of them going to get me?
Yeah.
Hope so.
I hope so. Yeah. Both of them.
And I get a great deal on
either
Mint
one.
Mobile.
Sorry, Bethany.
I was talking about me.
No, she's here too.
What?
I guess Bethany can get the girl.
Yeah.
Do you want the girl?
I can get the girl.
Okay, good.
I mean, I would try to get Inara for sure.
Oh, good. Anyone should, honestly.
And Kaylee. Kaylee's just like the sweetheart.
Yeah, you'd want both of them, wouldn't you?
She has the space buns.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just make good space
buns.
Oh,
I put my hair in space buns the other night.
Yeah.
It was fun.
I'm going to make another tea if anybody wants one.
Yes, please.
Yeah, I'll take one more.
Can you not forget the lemon this time?
Can you go to the store and ask Jeffrey to give you your lemon back?
Gotta go to the little podcaster's room.
And also 12 more.
Thanks, Higgins.
Yeah, no problem.
We'll see how he did.
It's a little more heavy on the Coke this time, I think.
It's funny you mentioned that, because when I took that last little sip so you could give us a refill, I really got the burn of the Coke at the bottom, and I appreciated it. I'm not gonna lie.
I'm not tasting the lemon.
Yeah, I did. I think I didn't really measure out the Coke and the sweet tea like I did last time, so I think I might have went heavy on Coke.
You do go a little loosey-goosey on your second pour, but that's what I love about you, Higgins.
Isn't that just because you don't like tea very much?
No, I mean, I just like was like I had like this much left in the cup, and I was like, I can probably measure out half and half sweet tea and Coke, and I guess I didn't exactly hit it.
It's okay. Practice makes perfect, Higgins.
I think I was like 3/5, 2/5 Coke to sweet tea.
We'll meet somewhere in the middle of that.
Yeah.
Did you take a sip of that sweet tea vodka just by itself?
I didn't. We can
We'll do
at
that
the
later.
at the end of the
Yeah.
podcast for the end.
You need to treat it like you're a chef. You taste your
Ooh.
ingredients because you want to know
Yeah.
what you're putting in there for your people.
And I'll
Tommy.
scream Firefly into the mic.
Imagine, imagine how tipsy
Firefly?
bartenders would be if they did that.
Imagine what?
How tipsy bartenders would
Oh
be.
my gosh! I mean, they probably
It's
need
anything like the bartenders that I've been to. They do that.
it. Oh, my favorite bartender's the one that gets tipsy because after a while they give you things to get tipsy. Got a bit of that the last time I went to our local bar.
Oh man.
Our friend Morgan was there working the
Oh.
bar. Lovely lady. Love her. I think she listens to this, or she did like way back in the day. If you still
Yeah.
listen, hey Morgan.
Hey,
Hi, Morgan.
Ah, good. We talked about that. We talked about Morgan. That's important. I'll cross that off my list. Is there anything else about the book that anyone would love to talk about?
I was actually surprised at how much Anara made an appearance in this.
Yeah, she's always been kind of that character that, I guess it's kind of to keep the mystery alive with her.
Yeah.
She just shows up because a companion's just a prostitute, as far as I understand it. They've always been not really vague, but
It's-
also a little vague.
Yeah, it's like a prostitute, but also kind of like a sugar mama,
Yeah,
where like you can have like emotional support as well.
yeah. I like kind of the way that they've always treated, like everyone else in this world has always treated them, where it's just like, oh, like what an honor to
Mhm.
meet. And I think that's kind of what
And then
plays
there's
into
Mal.
Yeah, well, I think that's part of it is that we want to play into the fact that like these two just don't get along. Like he doesn't respect her profession, and it turns out it's just because like he's like, no, I want to be your only companion, so please like
Yeah.
give this up. But I've always enjoyed kind of the way that they treat people like Anara in the galaxy, and she's like. She is a space prostitute, but also she's a person you
She's
go
a
to
space
for.
escort, Snoop.
Oh, sorry,
Companion.
Yeah,
Higgins.
an escort.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, it's
But-
called a companion, but like a prostitute just has sex with the people. An escort has a nice date first.
Oh, that's lovely. I love that. Do they take you out, or do
I
you
think
still
you're
take
allowed.
them
I
out?
think you're allowed to kiss them on the mouth.
Higgins, no, you
Oof.
hold hands on the first date.
I know.
All right. And even then, just like maybe two fingers
Yeah.
intertwined. You know? That's it. And you pancake them. You don't waffle
Yeah.
it because that's too intimate. I've always enjoyed Anara, and that mostly might just be because of Marina Baccarin.
Yeah. I loved her in Deadpool.
She's really good in Deadpool. I hope she
really
comes
good
back.
at-
who it is.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You didn't
Deadpool.
know?
Yeah.
I couldn't remember where I saw her from before.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
This whole
what's
show is
funny
just
is
filled
that
with people like
Famous people. Yeah.
yeah that haven't came up yet. It's kind of like Freaks and Geeks is the same way with the other stuff.
It also got canceled
Got
after one
canceled
season.
after one
No movie though for Freaks and Geeks. Shame.
Oof.
What were you saying though? Bethany?
Spoilers for Higgins.
I thought this might be a spoiler for Jared. So if you don't want to spoil,
La
like,
la 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 la.
Okay.
la.
but I was talking about like Anara's, medical history
Mhm.
that comes out like at I think either the very end or in Serenity.
No, you're
You
gonna have to
remember?
remind me because I
She
do
has
not.
cancer.
Does she have cancer?
It's
Really?
like either like a cancer or something that's like
It's making her real sick.
yeah.
Okay.
So that's why she like wanted to travel and do all of her companion stuff with Mal and everything is because she wanted to travel and not do just that
Mm.
one place.
I see.
Because she wanted to travel.
That makes sense. Okay.
Wow,
yeah.
I said travel a lot.
I mean, we need to know how much she travels, and it sounds
Yeah.
like a whole lot. I now that you mention, I think I do kind of remember that might be in the movie because it's kind of where
Yeah.
they have that big
Yeah.
heart to heart.
Yeah. Honestly, I think that is kind of a reason why she's holding back her feelings from telling Mal is because of that issue.
Yeah.
Because she doesn't want to like invest in something when it couldn't work out.
Yeah. She's a character that kind of puts up this facade of like, I'm this mysterious woman who doesn't really talk to people, but then as
she's
it goes,
she's just trying to protect the people around her that she cares about
exactly
by not getting too close when the inevitable happens.
Yeah, and she's always like her and the character of the shepherd. They've always kind of been the most complex, I think,
Mhm.
of them. Like obviously
Yeah.
Zoe and Mal have their stuff with the war, and that plays a lot into this particular story. I really like Shepard. I always have really
Yeah, I would love
liked
to
him.
know about his dark past that everybody keeps talking about.
Right?
What he did before he got that.
Well, I
really
don't know.
sick
You kind
haircut.
of get a little bit of a hint in this comic, though.
It seems
Well,
like
they
he
just
just
kinda-
murdered
like,
a bunch of
whenever
dudes.
they're like trying to decide on who gets killed first,
Oh yeah, yeah.
you do kind of see that. And he was like, well, I was actually like blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Well, they did. That's the same thing. It's like they tell you he had a dark past, but I still don't know anything about it.
No.
Yeah, you don't know the specifics, but you know generally, like, he killed a lot of people.
I want to know his dirty laundry.
I understand. You want to know that.
Where's
The
he keep
tea.
his jocks? I see.
Oh, going back to before, can you put like a little? It's like spoiler for Higgins. Close your ears. You're the first one that listens to our podcast every time we put it out.
I will, but can you do me just a clean take of spoilers for Higgins, but in that really high pitched thing you did?
Spoilers for Higgins.
Oh, that's even better. Love that. All right, I got it. I'll get you. Very good.
I know this is a podcast for the people, but I'm glad we're tailoring to me specifically.
It's mostly a podcast for us. Let's be honest.
Hey, I listened to it.
Oh, there you go.
I binged it.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
That's the only time I've ever heard that, and probably will hear that.
You
so
guys
thank
were the second most listened to podcast of 2021.
Who was the first?
Crime Junkie. Sorry.
It's always a crime podcast.
Sorry.
They have more. They do an episode a week. We
Yeah,
only do
And
an
I
episode a
binged
month.
them too. So, like, I absolutely caught up to them, and I absolutely caught up to you
She
guys.
finished
so
200 episodes of theirs, and we haven't hit 50 yet.
I still listen to all of them. And I enjoyed them
49? 48?
so much.
48.
Dang.
We would have been at over 50 if we didn't take those months off we did back in, what do they call it? The pandy?
Yeah, the pandy.
We call it the pandy now.
The panorama.
I can't
the
say it.
parallelogram.
Thank you.
Parallelogram.
They put too many L's in the middle. That's the problem.
They do. Way too many. They didn't put a lot of L's in the title of this book, though, which I really enjoyed. I don't really, obviously, if you guys want to mention anything else, go for it, but I don't have much else to say. I'd like to get into the second volume, I think. It sucks that it ended on the cliffhanger where Mal gets kidnapped by Boss Moon, but also that's like, man, they really know that I want to read more of this, so I guess I will.
Yeah. I'll check it out. Maybe we can get Bethany on the podcast again when we do a repeat episode.
No, you really put pressure on her in the middle of this episode
Yeah.
to come back, and I like that. Thank you. Bethany, do you have anything else you want to add about this first volume?
I don't think so. I think we covered everything.
I think so, yeah. We did a really good deep
We
dive.
really
Yeah, we
nailed
did.
it.
Yeah, just claps, everyone.
Not to toot our own horns, but toot toot.
Yes.
Flip the hair.
All right, well, there's only one thing that we all need to do, and we'll start with Higgins.
Yeah.
Higgins, as you know, I think, if you've been paying attention the last 47 episodes, we review these books at the end of every talk we have.
Yeah, we give a review, and the review is important. And
God, I can't wait till we start filming this and people can see how hard you're thinking.
I'm gonna give it 12 platinums, the cost of the ship's engine part they need.
It
Ooh.
seems cheap, doesn't it? Because they shot that entire piece out of the...
No, so it was 12 platinums before they shot it out, and then they were like, to get all the fuel cells, it's gonna be like 1,000 or something like
Oh,
that. So I'm
man.
giving it 12.
Mm.
So just regular gas prices these days.
Yeah.
Am I right?
Mm-hmm.
Bethany, that's good rating, by the way, Higgins. Bethany, how are you going to top that, though?
I am going to top that with 2 eyeballs
Mm,
that Boss Moon doesn't have.
that's good. That's good. I like that. She needs at least one of them to get
Yeah,
through the
but
day.
she does pull off the one eyeball
She-
look.
It's a good look for her.
I'm not
Yeah.
gonna mistake it. No, I really liked her hair too.
It is a good hair. You know, the crew cut, it's not an
Yeah.
easy hair for anyone to pull off, but
Yeah,
she makes it
she-
go a long
she
way.
does it.
Yeah. No, I like that
I like
rating.
how they made her like look a little bit robotic too.
Yeah, it looks like she's had some enhancements
Really
done
cool,
to
really
put up
cool.
a fight. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's good stuff. That's
But
good
yeah.
stuff.
2 eyeballs that Boss Moon doesn't have.
Love that. All right. Well, whew. All right. Good ratings all around, everyone. I guess for mine, which I didn't think about. Normally I do, but I didn't for whatever reason.
You had literally 2 people's worth of time to figure it out.
I was stalling for. I wish we had a
I
third
tried to stall for you,
literally
dude.
shoved
I
me
saw the
under
confusion
bus.
on your face, man.
Yeah.
Shoved
You know
me under
what?
the bus.
You know what I'm gonna do? You know what I'm gonna do actually is I'm gonna take my Western space gun and I'm gonna shoot both of you in the thigh or the knee. Either way, it's
Aw, that's
apparently
pretty
a
good.
clean exit wound because I love that you both did this podcast with me today. And I do have.
So sweet.
Thank you. You as well, all of you, everyone.
Oh, thanks.
New Cat's been quiet. That's really sweet of him. Keep it up for a little longer. Now, I do have one more thing I'd like to say about this book that I just thought of, Higgins.
That's fine.
Readings for squares.
Turns out I can't because we're going into the new segment.
Oh man, did you guys talk about it while I was
We did
gone?
talk about it before. No, we did earlier today. I wanted to get
Okay.
you.
Well, that was really because Snoop
I've
was
never
really
gotten
mad. Snoop was really mad that you said "boom" in the previous
okay.
episode,
I got
and
you.
he didn't get to
I
say
stole
it.
his thing.
So,
you guys stole my
we
thing.
stole your thing.
Now, Higgins, since we stole your thing, you can tell the rest of the people listening what this segment's about.
All right, this is a segment where we talk about things that aren't books because reading's not cool. Don't do it, folks.
Now, I don't know why we do it, but we do.
Yeah,
But not anymore.
Not without pictures. I do read without pictures, but we're not here to talk about that.
It's gross.
I am gonna talk about something. Me and Bethany have watched all 5 Scream movies up and coming before the most recent Scream movie.
Scream 6, still screaming?
We haven't seen Scream 6 Still Screaming, but
Mm.
we've watched Scream 1 through Scream 5. And let me tell you, folks, I don't know if I've talked about them before
You haven't.
on this podcast, but Scream movies are quite possibly one of my favorite like slasher flicks out of the early like 90s to aughts like slasher flicks.
Yes.
There was like one of them that I thought wasn't as good as the other
Was
ones.
it Scream 3?
Scream 3?
Yeah, it's not a good one, is it? But it's not even terrible.
No, it's not
Yeah.
not even that bad. It's just worse than the other ones.
Yes. And
They're all good. I never know who the killer is. I guessed it like one time.
Was the third one where she's
The
like
third
in
one's
college?
where they go. No, the third one's where they do the movie about the thing.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you both of this is a question for both of you. So what is it about the Scream franchise compared to like your Jasons and your Voorhees or I mean that's the same thing. Point is, what do you like about these horror slashers compared to another one?
What I really like about it is that it is just a regular person in a goofy costume,
It's a goofy costume, you're right.
but also they're all kind of a parody of the horror genre while still being scary. It's like, scary movie, they try to make fun of it and stuff like that, but Scream is like they're talking about all the tropes of like all the scary movies, the Halloweens, the Friday the
Nightmares.
13th and all
Yeah.
that stuff.
Yeah.
And they're like, these certain things happen in these movies. And then they're like, those things go ahead and happen. But then they kind of turn it on its head. Like the first one, like I had no idea who the killer was. They completely befuddled me. And that movie came out forever ago. I don't know how nobody like ruined it for me.
No one told you that Bruce Willis is in the movie the whole time?
No one told me Bruce Willis
What?
was in the movie the whole time.
How did I
Except-
miss that? Did I fall asleep?
He was in the
No.
background, he hadn't hit it big at that point.
No, that's just a Sixth Sense gag.
All right, Bethany, what about you? What is it? What does Scream do for you?
Oh, I definitely screamed a couple times.
Oh, that's good.
But yeah, I do like the how
Unpredictably?
predictable they are.
They're
How
unpredictable?
No, predictable they
Oh,
are.
okay.
You always look at that love interest. That's rule number 1 of Scream.
They do kind of tell you the tropes while you're going.
That was probably my favorite thing is how in Scream 5 that what's his face? Dewey,
Yeah, Dewey.
they came to him because he's
David
like
Arquette.
the OG character,
Yeah.
And so they're like, okay, so obviously we're living in a Scream sequel,
A
What?
requel.
a requel. What
a
should
remake
we
sequel.
what
is
should
they
we look
call it.
out for? And he was like, you know what? Number 1, always look at the most recent love interest. And then he says like 3 or 4 rules of a Scream sequel or whatever, a
Yeah,
requel. And he turns out, he's got some knowledge in him.
Yeah, they're pretty bang up movies. I wish I had watched them like as they came out because I think they would have hit. I think they would have hit harder if I hadn't watched like all 5 in like 3 weeks. But
I don't know about that because
They all held their own though.
like whenever a sequel comes out, I always have to do like a movie marathon before up until that next one until I see the next one because I forget a lot of things that happen.
And you don't want to be in the new movie and they do a thing and
Yeah.
everyone goes, oh, and you're like, what? And they're
What?
like, that's the thing from the other thing. Like you don't want to
Yeah.
be that You don't want
Yeah,
to be
you
that
don't want to
person,
be the
yeah.
outside of an inside joke.
No.
And what I also liked is that I can finally be on the side of the people that don't quite understand why Courtney Cox fell for David Arquette, but like
It was the mustache.
by the end of the 5th movie, I was like, all right, I get it.
It's the
sweet
mustache.
disposition he
That's what I
brings.
said. By the end of the 5th Scream movie, I was like, all right, I see why she went for him.
But you also understand why it didn't work out. You're like, no, okay, this only has so much appeal for so long.
He does pull off that mustache, though.
His
yeah.
mustache
It's
is so
very
bad in the
tasteful.
first one. It gets better by like
That's
the second
fair.
or third one.
That's fair.
He's like a cop in the first one.
He's a
though,
cop-
right?
he's
yeah,
like-
Yeah.
so it
Well,
works,
actually, he's
yeah.
like the cop, but dorky older brother to her best friend that she stays with. Remember?
Yeah. Okay, yeah. I do. I've seen all the first one. I love the first one.
Yeah, it's really
Um,
good.
I've seen the third one and then some of the fourth one. Maybe is the fourth one the one that opens with them like doing a scream inside a scream inside a scream.
The 4th one is like the first one that happened in like the one that happened in like 2011, where they tried to reboot it and it didn't work.
Yeah. 5's the one that it kind of took off again, right?
5's the one with Jenna Ortega where it like kind of came off again.
That's right. And that was before we even knew who she was.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I didn't know she was in that
Yeah.
one.
We didn't even know she could do that dance that she did.
Yeah,
Yeah, but now we do.
I think
So-
she's older in Scream 5 than she is in Wednesday, even though it happened later.
I thought you were gonna say I think she's older in Scream 6 than when she was in Scream 5, the movie that came after.
That too.
That would have been that would have been a twist of its own, wouldn't it? Yeah. Well, good.
How funny how time works, you know?
No, I'm glad that you guys are watching. I need to catch up on the newer ones. I want to at least. I guess I could. Would I be fine to start with 5 and then
You can
just
start
keep
with
going?
5.
Yeah.
Five's,
Yeah,
five's
yeah, for
actually
sure.
like really good.
Okay, cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to get into it because I've
Watch
heard good
it.
things.
Watch it, and then we can all meet back here and watch Scream 6.
Yeah,
Okay.
Because it just came
it'll
out
be on
on
streaming stuff soon.
Yeah, because
It's
it
on
just came out
Paramount
on
Plus,
yeah,
but
yeah.
I don't have that anymore.
No, you're not watching Yellowstone with your dad every week, or
I haven't watched that yet.
Wow.
Goodness.
I'll get there.
Have
Better
you
let
watched?
him down.
I've seen through season 4. It's in the mid-season break right now. I'm kind of just waiting until it all comes out and we can just like burn
Binge
through
it.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let me know because I want to watch that show with your dad too. As we've discussed, it's the perfect show to watch with your dad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I haven't been watching Scream movies. However, we are recording on one of the holiest of days today. That's the beep.
Oh,
Sorry.
may the 4th be with you.
May the 4th be with you.
Sorry,
Higgins.
guys.
Oh,
Yes.
wow.
Just as important as Christmas or the resurrection of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Easter.
Obviously.
And so we got some new Star Wars stuff in recent memory. Higgins, I've been playing.
Andor. Oh, you've been playing Jedi Survivor?
I have, yes.
You dirty son of a gun. I want to play that game so bad.
You can't. Well,
I
you
can't.
can.
I literally
without. You can't play it without Steve letting you
Steve
use his
PS5, yeah.
PS5 because it's only on the newer consoles. I'm sorry, Bethany. It's a real shame for you.
Damn.
You're not gonna play it on your N64 anytime soon.
It's like one of 5 games that I finished. And I 100%ed that game. Besides the...
The trophies and the whatnot.
Yeah.
Like you didn't kill.
I 100%ed the map.
Yes, I did as well. Yeah. Higgins, I'm gonna just give you a fair warning. You're not gonna 100% this one.
Is it a lot?
It's so much more. I'm on one planet and I feel like it's got more to do on it than the entire first game. And maybe it's just because of how well they've like spaced it out. Like there's just so many open fields and random creatures. I'm not going to talk a whole lot about it because I want to talk about something else more in detail. It's a great game. I think it's already better than the first one. It kind of just does what sequels try to do.
Same but better.
Same but better. It's the story's already really good.
I saw
Um,
Cal Rien has long hair now.
You can customize them.
Oh,
You
okay.
can give him a short beard, long hair, short hair, long beard, whatever you want to do.
Oh, that's
Um,
nice.
It is nice.
Can you make him
Can
bald?
you believe I remembered that name?
Maybe.
Ooh,
Remember that
love
name.
a bald man.
He's probably going to be pretty important. They're talking because Cameron Monaghan is the actor that
Yeah.
plays him. He
From
played in Gotham
Shameless.
and Shameless, yeah. I think they've already kind of said they're trying to figure out ways to get him into live action stuff, which is
What?
probably
I
why
mean-
they got an actor to do it in the first place.
He's in these games are in the sweet spot of the movie verse where they don't really have anything.
No, they're kind of in that. There's plenty to do in that time period,
It's like
but also
right
bring
after-
in characters you know, yeah.
Right after episode 3, before Rogue One.
Yeah, so this one is set, I think, like 10 or 11 years after Revenge of the Sith. So, like, the Empire's been around a little while, but still good ways to go before A New Hope, maybe. I don't know. But it's a good game. Definitely play it if you can get a chance and you like the stuff.
I'd love to. I'm splitting it with
It's a big
Steve.
game. It's a big game though. I don't think that I'm going to go through everything, because just going through that first main world, I'm like, man, there's just so many different crevices and walls and caves to go into.
To be fair, the only reason I finished it the way I did is because I was living with my parents and didn't have good enough internet to play Rocket League with you guys. So
Yeah. No, I mean, that's why I finished it the way I did. I was also at your house. Yeah. Living with your parents. Yeah. But no, it's good. Definitely get into it if you like the first one, because it's just kind of a better version of that when that was already a good thing. What I wanted to talk about, though, it's also Star Wars related. That's a little bit more approachable to people, is a new season of Star Wars Visions came out today.
I thought you were gonna. I thought I heard something about the Mandalorian, and I thought that's where you're gonna go, but maybe not.
I did finish that. It's pretty decent.
I've watched one episode.
I want to talk about this one, though, because probably a lot of people wouldn't think to give it a chance. Bethany, do you know what Star Wars Visions is?
Mm-mm.
It's the anime, right?
Yeah, so basically, last year, the year before, they did a show called Visions, where they gave 9 episodes each to a different animation studio, and they're like, hey, you have the full Star Wars license, do whatever you want. It doesn't have to mean anything. Just do a story. I really enjoyed that first season. Second season came out, whole new list of different studios kind of taking these on, and you just pick one. It's like an anthology. So you look at the list and you're like, oh, that one looks fun to me. I'll watch that one. And it's like 15 minutes and then you're out.
Star Wars What If, kind of?
A little bit, yeah. It's got that kind of vibe to it. It just, the main thing is that it's got Star Wars stuff, but it does not matter. So if you care about the canon, it's not important. Like, just because Darth Vader showed up and he like threw a Death Star sized ball at you, it doesn't mean anything.
I'm all about the canon of Star Wars, as you know, Snoop.
Well, this isn't going to be for you then. I'm sorry. But I really, as someone who really just loves and appreciates animation, like just the level of detail and work that goes into it, this is kind of an opportunity for people who already do a good job at that to just go all the way up to 11 with it. Like kind
of like a Love, Death, and Robots,
exactly.
like for Star Wars.
Yes, exactly.
Ooh.
And they're fun. What I like about Star Wars as a property that not a lot of people probably feel as much is I like when you can do anything with it. I like that there's stuff for people our age. I like that there's stuff for kids. And you might not like it, but that's okay because it's for this other group. And that's kind of all this is. You just, like I said, you pick the one that seems interesting to you. I've watched 2 so far. One I watched that I enjoyed a lot more than I thought was made by, I think the studio's name is Anard or Anarm. It's the studio that made Wallace and Gromit. Do you remember?
Oh,
those?
yeah.
So they kind of just do a little one-off story about a mom and a daughter who the daughter goes to a like a pilot academy, but they're poor, they don't have a lot of money, and so there's this big family pod racing kind of deal, and she doesn't tell her mom because she's embarrassed of the ship that they have. It's kind of their house, but also a ship, and then the mom just kind of stumbles into it anyway, and they do the race, and they beat the really rich family. Like, it's a goofy, dumb, fun little thing told in the style of Wallace and Gromit, but it's got a really sweet message in it. I love just the dynamic between the mom and the daughter, and it's a one-off. You watch it, you're done, and then the other one I watched was a completely different tone of a story of like a Padawan who saw like everyone he loved killed by a Sith, and he's struggling with like, I want to be a Jedi, but also like I'm really angry, and it's a message about like, well, maybe you can be both, and that's okay.
He's gonna be one of the gray boys.
He's a little bit of a gray boy, yeah. And it, like I said, because it's only these one-off episodes by each studio, and they're 10-15 minutes, they do just the best that they could ever do. It's, you're not having to meet that weekly, monthly schedule, so you're just going to pour everything that you can think of to make this animation just so beautiful.
Oh, I'm gonna force my nibblings to watch this with me.
They would actually, I think they would really like it.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
I didn't even think about that.
Because like
Good for a
Leo
younger
is just all about some violence, and Callie likes colors.
There's plenty of both in either or. Yeah.
So obviously,
Yeah.
it makes sense. So I'm looking up now, and you can watch it on Disney Plus.
Yes, yeah, everything's there.
Star
They put
Wars,
all
Disney.
all episodes are out too. That's how they've always done it. When the first season came out, same thing.
Oh, so you can do a binge thingy.
You can binge it so
I
hard.
love that.
Yes, and like
I
talking
don't
about
like
your
waiting
nibblings,
for stuff. Yeah.
you just put it on like, hey, which of these do you like? Because they have a little thumbnail, It's like, which of these do you want to watch? and then you just let them pick,
Yeah.
and then just let them have fun. I
love
really,
that.
I think it's a great idea, and I hope they do more, because who knows with Star Wars and like how angry people get about Star
Yeah.
Wars. There's one that came out the same day. It's like, it's a very like just kind of cheeky kids show, like little Yoda, like chibi Yoda guy.
Oh
Like,
yeah.
people absolutely hate it. They're like so upset about it. But
Well,
the
it's not
whole
for you.
exactly, I'm not gonna watch it. I think that's fine. Like, that's the thing is, like, Star Wars is such a big thing. Of course, there's gonna be stuff that's not for
There's
you.
like Baby Groot that's like for
I
like the
love
Avengers
Baby
people.
Groot.
Yeah, I mean but like the people that are like big time Avengers people aren't gonna watch it. So it's like,
Yeah,
or they will and they'll be upset about it.
I love all of those shorts of Baby Groot.
yeah.
You know, those there was one I saw on TikTok, and it was like him going to like a little mud puddle, and that actually like helped all of his vines grow and stuff. And so
Ah.
like he cut his hair into like an afro, and then he cut it into like he grew it all over his body, and then cut it into like a dress, and was like Maria Antoinette or whatever her
Yeah.
name is. And it was just so adorable. I think I sent it to Higgins over there. Did you watch it or no?
That's
Just say yes.
I didn't see that one. I saw the other
Higgins
one that you
should-
sent me
Higgins should just
where
say
he like
yes.
killed a bunch of small things.
Oh yeah, that one was cute too. He took a big old rock because he was trying to move something, and he took a rock, and then he found like a little teeny colony of some insects or something like that, or worms,
Alien people.
alien people. And they were like, "Whoa, who is that?" And so like he gave them water and leaves and stuff, and then all of a sudden like what happened? Something happened, and then so he's like running around freaking out, and so he stepped on him.
No,
He
Yeah,
smooshed them.
it's
And
good
he was
lesson for the
like-
kids.
He smooshed them.
he kind of like and shrugged and like moved on. It was adorable and also like, oh, I kind of
Yeah.
want to cry.
Yeah, and see, I haven't seen that, and like, I won't say I'm in a rush to see it, but I love that, just like the Star Wars show for the kids or whatever. Like, I love that kind of stuff is out there. You know, like, keep it interesting.
Yeah,
Keep it going. Like, just make stuff for people who this probably isn't going to get everybody's attention, and they're going to be like, quote unquote, the real true fans or whatever that are upset that it exists. But just be glad that it's here, because
yeah,
it's something for people to watch. Like, when Higgins and I like started reading comics, like, we just kind of picked whatever we thought was interesting to us, and some stuff we loved, some stuff we didn't like.
yeah.
But it's fine. Like, just because like I like this and you don't or whatever, who cares? I'm just glad that they're making it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh
So,
man,
But yeah, happy Star Wars Day, everyone.
happy Star
Star
Wars
Wars
Day.
Day.
Oh man, I've been into podcasts lately, just trying out different crime podcasts,
Mhm.
but then also trying to get a little bit lighter mood into podcasting.
You need to, yeah.
Yeah,
Gotta
because
balance it.
because I don't want to spend like 100% of my workday just listening to stories of how people get murdered and how people figure it out, you know? That gets a little dark.
It's eerie after a while.
Yeah, so I started looking up like am I the asshole stories?
Oh. Okay.
Like Reddit said it
yeah.
and like that kind of stuff. So I found this one guy, shout out Dusty Thunder.
a good name.
so it's not his actual name, but it's Dusty Thunder. And so like he goes through and he says, okay, he reads through a Reddit post and was like, okay, how much of an asshole is this person? Because there's very different types of assholes,
Yes.
right? So like there's like, yeah, you're kind of an asshole. And then there's like, holy crap, you're an absolute trash human being. You probably shouldn't even be here. Like you definitely shouldn't have done that, like at all. And so like he has this whole DEFCON scale.
Oh, as far as
And-
like you're a real asshole,
Yeah, yeah,
or you
yeah.
really are an asshole. Yeah.
Yeah. So like DEFCON or ASCON 1 through ASCON 4. And ASCON 4 is like, yeah, you're not an asshole, but you could have done that differently. And then like I know the entire scale. And so
Yeah.
like I love it because there's like different staples to it. He's also on YouTube, and so he has different playlists. So if you're looking for like mother-in-law stories, he has a complete playlist of
Oh.
mother-in-law stories.
This guy knows
And
what he's
then there's,
doing.
like,
yeah.
A cake playlist because he has like merchandise and stuff that says protect the cake. And we're not talking about the actual butts,
Mhm.
cake, but we're talking about like actual cake.
Oh,
So
I
like
see.
there's a lot of stories about like birthdays and stuff or weddings, and it's all involving like the cake.
Oh, okay.
And so
I gotcha.
he's really, really cool. I really like that guy. But that's what I've been into lately.
We'll skip out of this segment and
Higgins, you look like you were up just now. I saw you. You're doing a little thing with your dance, but
yeah.
I think actually
had
that was to get out his wedgie.
I had,
Oh.
well, I had stiff legs.
Well, I
was
just,
stretching them out.
I just thought that was your thinking dance because you were thinking about what book we were going to
A little
read.
bit of
He always
that
does
too.
a little dance with his fingers.
I was gonna tell you that
Yeah, well, he's doing
I
right now.
I have read more Radiant Black, but we'll save that for next episode.
We're a bit long. I unfortunately had to cut your can you just do it real quick? The Massive Verse theme song that you did.
Oh, I can't even remember what it is now.
Well, I cut it, so no one's ever going to hear it. Point is, we'll talk about Radiant Black a different day. You know what?
Massive Verse.
That being said, because you talked about the Massive Verse to me a few times off air and on air, I'm willing to give
dove
it
in?
another shot
Oh yeah,
just because of how you've really turned around on it.
yeah.
So if you want to do another one of those,
I'm not gonna do it now.
that's fine. Yeah.
We can throw it in there soon. I got a good idea for next issue.
Okay.
It's a little bit different than we've done. We're not doing like a stolen property. We're not gonna do a superhero. We're gonna do another one of those like happy findings Friday books like I found.
Mm.
Just like I was on Amazon and like comics jump out at me because I buy a lot of comics.
You buy so many.
And they like are like, look at these comics we've got. And
Do you want to buy them?
This one stared at my face for like a year, like Friday did. And I was like, fine, you suckered me in. It's like $15. I'll buy the dang thing. And it's called It's Lonely at the Center of the Earth, an autobiographic novel. There's a lot of dashes in there. It's like auto-bio-graphic novel. Graphic novel?
Hmm.
Autobiographic. You get the thing.
I think so. Yeah.
It's
more or
by
less.
Zoe Thorogood, and I have no idea what it's about. I just flipped through it. And
you really need to justify that $15 price point.
I'll
so-
just read the thing. Cartoonist Zoe Thorogood records 6 months of her own life as it falls apart in a desperate attempt to put it back together again in the only way she knows how.
Okay.
One little
Can
quick
I,
thing. I didn't read the whole synopsis, so you can still do that on our next episode.
That's good. I didn't even do it with this one, but
Yeah.
we covered the book so well I didn't have to. Can you do me a favor and just hold up that front cover so I can look at it and go, I
Look
do
at
like
those
that.
legs.
I mean, I kept looking at it,
They go for
and I was like, is she
days.
going to be in like, is she in space? Is she floating? Is she dancing? Is she having a fun time?
Is she having a thorough good time?
Yeah.
Is there
exactly.
fire on the stove?
Maybe.
I guess we'll talk about it. and
There's
find
Amazon
out. Yeah.
packages, but yeah, it looked good, and the art looks crazy
Okay.
inside. So I don't know how long it is, but it looks a lot longer than what we normally do. So you might have to do it the day before the day we record it.
Don't tell me what to do. But no, that actually seems that is different for us. I like that. So we'll do that
Yeah.
one, and then the one that I pick will just return us back to the usual crap we do.
Yeah,
That's
I
it-
just
that's how
thought
we balance
I was
this out.
thinking
Yeah.
I was thinking that you did the one before we did
yeah.
this one.
No,
so
no.
I was like, I'll pick one.
Absolutely. I'm glad you did because I had nothing to bring to the table.
All right.
This table
Oh,
or any
man.
other.
But
I will
speaking
next
about
time.
bringing things to the table, like we've kind of just thrown Michael onto the curb today, and we haven't
Oh,
even talked
no.
about him.
That
It's okay.
fantastic.
It's okay.
Person.
We'll do it at the end of the episode because sometimes people don't like listening to a ad before they start listening to a podcast.
I've never
Oh
heard
my
of such
goodness.
a person, but go on.
So Michael, our good friend, the guy
Gives great hugs.
that we talk about every
He
week,
does.
he has this thing called 0-0-8 Studios, and he helps people make things.
Mhm.
And boy, is he helping people make things, and he makes things himself.
Mhm.
Is this the part where you want me to tell you that he made the Eternal Crown, Dawning of the Red Sun?
Thank you,
Yes.
thank you. And he's working on the sequel, Eternal Crown, Trials of the Clergy. I'll
Nice
remember that
job,
one.
Yeah.
Higgs.
That one's a little easier to kind of
Yeah.
say, yeah.
And there's a couple other things: Icarus Initiative, Providence. He's got a game. Is that the Icarus Initiative, or is that the other one?
Higgins, the Icarus Initiative is a transmedia project, as you already know.
Is he still on Indiegogo, or is that
I think the campaign's
Gone.
over. He did a campaign. So the first thing coming out is going to be the book. I did find out that is the same illustrator that he used on the Eternal Crown, Dawning of the Red
That's
Sun.
awesome.
Ashley
Ashley
something.
Torella, I believe is
Yeah,
how you say her
nailed it.
last name. Good art, good person by all accounts. She helped me get some images to make a video for Michael that's on his YouTube channel, 0-0-8 Studios. Check that out if you want to see Michael on the biggest screen you can find. So like
Nice.
about this one's like a 24-inch.
I will
laptop
put it
screen.
on my projector.
Oh, very good. That's gonna be so big, so important. He'll love that. So yeah, he's doing videos and stuff. If he hasn't already at this time, he will put out a video basically explaining what the Eternal Crown is. You know, a little overview of the world and the characters and the things going on. But if you don't want to look at that, you want to find out for yourself, you can go to Michael's site. There's a link at the bottom of this podcast description. It'll take you right there. You chuck him a few bucks, get a good book in return. So
Yeah. And you missed your shot. You could have got it for a big discount, but
big discount. Yeah.
it's honestly worth all of the money you're paying for
It's
it.
worth all the crypto you can
Bought
get.
it 3 times.
Oh yeah, he bought one, gave me the copy, and then I bought one, or we bought one and gave my best friend a copy, and then I also bought it again because I was in the middle of it. And then I went to a swim meet, and so I bought it again as an ebook, and so I could finish it
Well done.
at the meet.
It's dedication. I like that.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
so yeah,
Yeah,
it was
it's good.
awesome.
And you can read that book instead of keeping an eye on the kids that are maybe drowning.
It's
Yeah,
good
you
stuff.
know, they know how to swim.
Exactly.
They're
I
fine.
mean,
There's
if they don't-
lifeguards at a swim meet. I don't need to actually be
It's
watching
true,
them.
you don't. No.
You know?
No.
You know there are lifeguards at the Olympics?
That seems
Yeah.
important,
Yeah, sure.
but also why?
Yeah.
Well, good.
It's good stuff. You can find that at all that Michael stuff at 0-0-8studios.com.
That's right.
And now we can talk about where you can find us.
Where's that?
We're going to do some sweeping and some rugs and all that sort of stuff. And you can find me at the Twitter at Mike Higgins93 and Instagram at JSterm93. You can find Snoop on Instagram at Snoop_Lynch.
I deleted the Instagram app, but go on because I am still there.
You can still find him there. You can still send him stuff. He might eventually find it.
One day.
And if not, you can find both of us at our email and send us stuff that we would love to hear from you.
Hold that thought. We'll keep saying that thought because you just reminded me of something.
You can find us at that email, and you can send us stuff, tell us books that you want us to read, talk about books that we've already read, ask us questions about our daily lives, and you can do that at thecomixologyclub at 0-8studios.com.
You said that with a question, but that is 100% correct.
Thank goodness.
And-
I wasn't worried. I wasn't sure about the .com part.
No, that's right. Absolutely
Well, I
right.
thought you guys just got a new email with Michael.
That was it.
That was
With
it.
the 0-0-8studios.com.
You did say that.
Mhm,
yeah.
Sorry, the drink's getting to me.
No,
okay.
it's honestly not your fault either because we've changed emails at least 3 or 4 times since we
Yeah.
started this, so that's kind of more on us. Speaking of emails, though, I'm glad you said this, Higgins.
Did we
because
get one?
We got another one from
Wow.
your friend of the show, Zachary
Zach?
Miller. Yeah, he sent it to us right after we.
I replied to him.
Did you?
Yeah, I replied to him. That's maybe why he said something.
Well, that's good. Well, this is a whole new email, Higgins. Do you want me to read it out to you live on this podcast?
I would love that.
Oh, that's good. I was going to do it no matter what. So Zach's here again. He says, another great episode. I always appreciate a fun take on classic fantasy and D&D themes. That's when we talked about
Oh yeah, he does
Yeah.
D&D stuff.
That's right. Well, I mean, I say that's right. I didn't know that, but I know that now. He goes on to say, I'll have to take a look at this. Do you guys have a good recommendation on an anti-hero book or series? What do you think about that?
There's this one by Ed Brubaker who we just
He did
finished
Friday.
reading. He did this one called to
Kill or Be Killed?
Kill or Be Killed,
Okay,
which
yeah.
is 100% anti-hero stuff.
I'd say
a
so.
little bit.
Yeah.
He's killing bad guys. It's for his own personal gain, but he's killing bad guys.
Well, so if that's the one I think where he maybe or maybe doesn't have an encounter with a demon when he's trying to kill himself because his life sucks, and
yeah,
he lives, but the demon's like, in return for saving your life,
you have to
you
kill
have to
somebody.
kill someone every month, I think.
And so he chooses bad people.
Yeah.
as you do.
What's good about that one, way more grounded. Like, there's that kind of element of, is there a supernatural kind of side to this? But it never goes past that point. it's mostly just like he's kind of figuring out how he can kill people and not get caught, and he gets into shenanigans because of it. So yeah, another good recommendation.
And if you'd like to be like Zach, just hit that link that Snoop puts on every single one of our things, and send us an email because we'd love to answer your questions. Thank you, Zach, again for your email.
Yeah, I'm gonna read out the rest of his email here just to give credit where credit's due. He asked about the anti-hero book. We've talked about that. He said that I don't want to put myself on a no-fly list, but I think I could use a good story about someone taking agency against systemic evil or something of that ilk. That isn't about a Boy Scout approach to handling the evil. So based on that, I would definitely say Kill or Be Killed is a good option. He says, as always, y'all knocked out today's episode out of the park. It was a great way to fill a boring day at work. For this rating, I give 10 flowers. And he put 10 different flower emojis. And I love the effort.
I love that.
That's more effort than we go to when we do this.
I know.
So, very good, Zach. Thank you again for emailing us, and hope you enjoy this episode just as much. And if not, it's Higgins' fault.
Yeah.
Bethany's too.
Yeah, I could be at fault.
Yeah.
But you guys should let me know when you guys do another Friday one, and I'll hop on that one too.
Yeah, we'd love to have you. That's a good idea, actually.
Yeah.
Because Friday's about a girl, and
it
would be nice to have a girl's opinion.
I'm a girl.
Yeah.
Maybe Christmas, maybe next Christmas.
Maybe Halloween.
It was
it
snowing in the last one.
Literally be any time.
It's really just up to us, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
If it's up to us, then I'm gonna say we maybe put down these mics for another month.
Yeah,
100%. I think we said all the things that need to be said.
And more.
And
I've had 2 of these teas, and I am out.
You're flying right now.
Is that your sign off?
absolutely out.
You got a sign off for us?
Remember to be petty and have your tea ready for all of the tea that you're going to get. Peace out, bros.
Some would say that's too many mentions of the word tea, but I think it's a great amount. So well done.
Thank you.
Higgins, I will say cheers, guys. And of course, remind Higgins he needs to get that egg in him, because I would never forget. And now he's going to say something.
You would not believe your eyes if 10 million fireflies
Oh, no.
lit up the world while I fell asleep. I'd like to make myself believe that planet Earth turned slowly. See you guys.
That was awful.